Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy last week of April, and I've already said this before, but we're in assignment 7, as crazy as it feels. And today is going to be demo number 2 out of, let's see, I was about to say out of 3 or 4, but so Wednesday is going to be the last day of instruction, and it's the day that your assignment is due. So I guess there's probably not a reason to have a demo. So this would actually be your second to last demo. Wow, that's just so wild. Okay. Anyways, housekeeping stuff. You guys should have turned in assignment 6, your chair design. Can't wait to start taking a look at those. And then we're going to try and get those back to you as soon as possible. So be on the lookout for the feedback in there that you can incorporate here. So today we're going to be sketching a DSLR camera. I actually don't know what that stands for. I'm not a huge photography person myself. I don't own a DSLR, but I've used them before, just a few times, so I have kind of an idea. But for today, we are going to be, we are going to be looking at some photos online. So actually, let's jump over. Whoops. Okay. Okay. So this is the kind of camera that I'm talking about. This is what we're going to be drawing today. They're pretty cool. They've got a lot of interesting stuff going on. Basically, we're not going to be drawing maybe any one of these in particular, but they all are they have a lot of similarities. So we'll be maybe kind of just jumping around, referencing different photos for the information that we need. I think it'd be fun to do one where the flash is up. That'd be kind of neat. Yeah, and I would like to do one where we can really see the grip. That doesn't have the lens on it. Okay, we're just gonna do our best. Okay, so let's find a good image to get started with. How about this one? Okay, so as you guys should probably already be thinking through your mind, obviously one of the biggest parts of this is a cylinder. That's the lens. And then you've got a shape that feels kind of organic, but really is not. It can be broken up quite easily. So in terms of my composition, I'm not going to do anything crazy with this one. I want you guys, especially because everyone may be doing their own thing. Some of you have already started emailing me about what you want to do. That's great. Thank you. If you haven't emailed me, then you will be doing either email me as soon as you can if you want to do something other than headphones or the camera. So let me know, because the clock be ticking. But yeah, anyways, so I think we're just going to keep this pretty straightforward today. So if this is my main camera housing, oops, that wasn't good. And then here's my camera lens. Not a very good one. I think that will suffice for now. I definitely want to see you guys go all out with your composition. Take advantage of everything that you've learned. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm going to draw the main part of the camera first. Oops. Okay, and actually I should be using a gray. Okay, so now let's start thinking about the other parts of this. So that one actually isn't really as complicated as I was hoping, because there were some other ones that had a little bit more complex stuff. Oh, that's a good picture. Okay, cool. So I would say that the first thing that I'm thinking about is that the actual lens is not centered on this thing. It's actually a little bit off to the side. So I'm going to say maybe about here. And I think my lens would be kind of something like that. Yeah, that doesn't go too bad. Okay, and then one of the fun parts about this thing is the grip. So this is designed for a right-handed person. And basically what I'm imagining is that this could be either a rectangular prism that is extruded from here, or maybe it's like a cylinder. So I'm gonna work on adding that. For a second. Okay, something like this. And then put the base. And now, one thing that's cool about this, or that will be fun to figure out, is that right around, starting from about there maybe, this whole thing kind of like dips down. Like it starts getting kind of organic. So I'm gonna think about that. And then I sort of feel as if, based on this version of the camera, at least, it's almost as if this starts here, curves around, and then comes down, kind of like that. And then I feel like it's got a little bit of a lip to it, like so, and then curves down and out. Kind of like that. Okay, and then that probably has a bit of a fillet to it. Bring this around. Okay, and now it looks like there's a spot for like a what do you call it, like a shoulder, the fabric thing, and that I would bet is centered, so I can use our X method that we know and love so well to find where the center is, and then I'll make sure that I am keeping in mind the curve that we put in there, like that. So I think it'd probably be somewhere like that. And then the actual mounting part, give it some thickness. Cut out the center. Boom. That might be a tad small, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm actually looking at this whole section again. I'm gonna check that we're still recording. Okay. I've kind of drawn it as if it's like that, but I think it actually curves down. So we need to add another, or we need to think about that just a little bit. And basically this point just needs to be down here. So I'm gonna just bring that in a little bit. And that's not gonna quite look like a perfect ellipse anymore. And then this will be affected too. Okay, so now it looks a little bit funkier. It's exactly what we expected. That's okay. We can use some surface contour lines later. to make it feel right. Okay, let's spend another second on this area. Some of these lines are getting in my way a little bit. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna bring that back around because that's definitely not a sharp intersection right there. It's nice and flowy, very ergonomic. Okay, now let's think about this big button thing. It's pretty fun. I'm gonna say something kind of like that. Yeah, okay. And then there's a parting line where the black plastic stops and where the button begins. Make sure to get that. And then, okay, we're gonna use our vanishing lines to think about, it's probably gonna come up. And then that will be our center line. It's going to come down and go back in and come out. Something kind of like that. Okay. But I wanted to do that to figure out where to put this thing. Okay, it comes out a little bit. And maybe has some texture details. Okay, and then I'm gonna go for the actual button. Something kind of like that. Looks good. Okay. Nice. And then I'm going to think about where this, I don't know if that's like a plastic that's been given like a leather texture. Hard to know for sure, but we can always just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that line in here. Oops. And that's going to curve around. And then I think that ends kind of over here. And then we'll just connect these two. Cool. Okay, let's drag this around. Boom. So again, I'm just thinking of this as like a cylinder. So I'm following that curvature. That's where that line came from. Okay. And that looks like it has a little bit of a thing. Whoops. There we go. And I don't know what this red thing is, honestly, but some of you probably know what it is. There's a parting line as well. Okay. And then we've got, moving right along, we've got like a, this is probably a fastener underneath there that they just chose to cover so it's more comfortable to hold. And then over here, it looks like we probably have some kind of like a battery or an SD card, or I don't know what are in these in the year 2020. Back in my day, when I used to use a DSLR, they were SD cards. Now they're maybe just cloud storage. I have no idea. Anyways, so again, these are all going to have parting lines where the door begins and where the housing of the actual camera part stops. And it looks like there's some ridges on here. I'll put some lines on there for now. And then there might be a second door or something else. I think there's something else. I'm gonna put that in. Okay, cool. Now, it looks like there are 3 additional buttons behind this big one. I would bet that this, middle one is centered, so I'll draw a button there, a button here, And if I had this object in front of me, it'd be more accurate, but I'm just drawing based off of this, loosely drawing based off this picture, so it's going to be a little bit rougher. And give them some detail. So then this one got some space around it. This one's got a lot of stuff going on. So let's see. That was our surface contour line. It's going down. This one's going down. We'll get to that one. This is kind of like, actually, that works. That's not bad. Okay, next. Kind of like that. That'll work. Okay. Next, we've got this big dial thing here. Before we do that, let's think about this whole section above the lens, because that's actually a pretty exciting. Oh, you know what? No, rewind. There's a little flash thingy. I hope some of you are laughing at me because you are more knowledgeable on the anatomy of a DSLR than I am. I would be very grateful to know if you were laughing at me during this. Okay, so there's the little flash bit, or whatever. Okay, so now I think kind of looking at this again, thinking a little bit more. So first of all, the lens doesn't actually start on this surface. It starts a little further away. So, actually no, I'm gonna live with my mistake. Let's think about, okay, so we got line there, line there, line there. My camera lens probably gonna come out kind of like that. But I think it might also be a little bit lower too. So it'd actually be somewhere about here. Okay. So, okay, what I was going to say is that there's some really interesting geometry going on here. We're going to try, I don't want to scroll, and put this flash up. So let's take a second and look. Let's see, will we be able to find a good one? You know what? We might not be able to find a image good enough where it shows what's going on in that flash. No, you know what? Now I'm going to kick myself because I don't remember which image we were looking at. Shoot. Is the back button going to work? No. Kind of like this one. Oh, that might be the same one. Okay, anyways. Okay. Shoot, come on. I bet you guys are excited to never have to deal with my technical problems again. Okay, maybe I just won't leave the next time I find the right image. Dang it. Okay, hopefully you're skipping forward through this. Or maybe worse, you're looking at the picture that I'm trying to find. Dang, I'm mad because we had such a good photo. Okay. We'll just stick with this one because we're almost. To the next part. Anyways. Okay. So what I was trying to get at was that there's some really interesting stuff going on where the lens comes out. So I almost feel as if that part is kind of like it's almost like a teardrop shape. And then part of it comes out. And then it like goes up and back like that, and then comes down. Okay, so that's what we're gonna work on right now. So there was just a quick way of showing you what's going through my head, how I see it, not necessarily what is actually there, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so I'm going to say that is kind of where that thing, I liked what I had before better, starts. We'll take advantage of our vanishing line. Another vanishing line. I think that was actually a little bit taller than I drew just a second ago. And I think it curves back a little bit. That would be my guess. And it's got probably a little radii on it. Okay. And then so if that's our line, and then I think we're going to aim for somewhere kind of around here maybe. But it's got a big curvature on it. I'm going to draw that a little clearer for you. So I drew that, then I imagined the radius on there, make sure that material's been subtracted away. And that actually has a little bit of curvature to it. Okay, and then it looks like there's maybe some mounting hardware or something, you know, for people to put like additional accessories or something. So we'll just pull that back. And then I think that this actually goes like that. Maybe kind of like that. And then this comes down and then back, something kind of like that maybe. And I think this actually is angled. We won't see that side. Okay. And then, as far as the far side of our camera goes, oh, are you kidding me? Okay, as far as the far side of our camera goes, it kind of looks, if we're looking at this right side, oh my gosh, let me zoom in. What are you doing? Okay, if you look at this right side, basically the whole camera housing goes back a little bit more. There's like that big button, which I think is the lens release, maybe, to pop off the whole thing. There's that, and then another like fabric shoulder strap mount thingy. Okay. So I'm gonna imagine that that curves in quite a bit. And that's there. I'll just go ahead and imagine. Oh, you know what? That whole thing's gonna disappear behind our lens, because that's gonna come out something like there. So that'll all disappear. So we can basically cross everything here off and say that's not important or worth doing anymore, because it's gonna disappear. So let's actually look for a second at that dial. Let's do that. Here's a vanishing line. So here's the space that I want that dial to occupy. So this is the bottom of that dial. Now let's extrude this cylinder up. Okay. I just want to zoom in. It's not happening. Okay. I think it's got like a little deal. I don't even know what it's called. It's a little thing like that. That's what that thing is. And then this may have like a inner surface or like a detail where the icons stop. And then it does have some ridges. So I'll just throw some stuff on there. Okay, works for me. This top part didn't quite turn out the way that I wanted it to. I'm not exactly sure why. It's because it's curved. Yeah, I think it's curvier or something. Let's see how this looks if I... Yeah, I think that's already better. And then I think this back part I messed up just a bit. Okay. So, if I were to draw a surface line, I think it would be something like that. So that's why I added this surface, or this surface line there, to describe how this part is being extruded. And I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else that I'm really missing. So there's a little surface depression there with some stuff that we'll put in a second. You know what? And I think that this actually kind of comes back quite a... Oh, again, we're not going to see... Oh, okay. The reason I'm putting this in here as it comes back, because when this comes here, then it'll show it being further back. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this little tag where it says D5600. Looks like there might be some stuff going on there. And then there's like those silvery parts. Again, probably mounting stuff. Maybe put that in. Okay, some of these cameras have like 2 dials on the left-hand side. We sort of ran out of room on this one, so maybe we'll skip that for now. Okay. Okay, so now the lens. Let's start there. The lens is nothing that you guys need to feel intimidated by. You guys have been doing cylinders since week 2 of this class. I just need you guys to remember that as your cylinder goes further and further away, your ellipse is going to start really big and then get thinner, right? So it's not going to get thicker. That doesn't look right. It's going to get thinner. That looks better. Also, I think I want this camera lens to get larger. Something about that doesn't actually feel quite right. So let's okay. Okay, so here's the parts of my cylinder, parts of my lens. I'm going to say it starts at one thickness and then just rapidly becomes another. And then put in, some very minor details. You guys, if you want to go nuts with these ellipses, that'd be awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. I think something like this suffices. I would definitely like to see at least a few, just to get the general idea. Okay, here's something fun that we haven't talked a whole lot about. So, in the past, we've done power chords, you know, with like a swoopy thing, and some of you guys have gone ahead and done like the, you know, this bit. That's cool. For the camera, or the headphones, I guess you could put a plug on those. That would be cool if they weren't wireless. If you guys feel like you want to do like a shoulder strap kind of thing for the camera, that'd be cool. Kind of a similar principle as what we've done before, in that you know, this element, if you choose to add it, is not the most important part, so it shouldn't like take up it shouldn't like basically like grab all of our attention, because it's not the important part that you're communicating. I'm just gonna throw in like a pretty basic, almost like a lanyard type thing here that's holding on to. And now basically what I want is for this to just kind of hang down and then disappear. And then I'll assume that it comes around on the other side. Something kind of like that. Oops. And then we can just use our imagination that it attaches over there. Okay. Oh, and then that deserves some thickness. sort of imagine it being like a really, really thin rectangular prism, basically. Okay. I'm actually going to put in another one. Happens a little too abruptly for me. Okay, cool. So we're really close on this. A lot of the detail and texture and stuff on the lens, we do not do that. Like, you would never sketch that. It's just kind of ridiculous. But let's go ahead and get started with our final artwork. Okay, so I'm going to start with my thicker lines. Oops. And I want this one to actually be a little bit nicer. So I'm going to change my settings. Okay, and that's going to disappear. Actually, probably have this be a little bit thicker. Okay, and then, like we said, there's a parting line there. We're gonna follow around this to the base. Okay, so there's lots of fun stuff going on here. That's gonna be gradual. There will be a thick line here, because this is a material change. Whoops. Gradual. Okay, now let's go back and do that. Okay, jump back. And then something kind of like that. Yeah, that didn't turn out very well. Okay, and then we'll do big line and stop, because this thing comes out. Gradual. That we'll just put some weird little lines on. It's probably really smooth in real life, so oops. Okay, yeah, there will be a hole, so this will get big, and then yep, that looks good. And then I am going to go ahead and put this line in just so we have that nice smooth idea of where that starts and stops. Okay, then we'll go ahead and put in these buttons again. That's just a surface line, but this is the end of the button. That's just a surface line. That's also a surface line. Oops, that didn't turn out right. Okay. And then give that just a little bit of information. We'll come back to that. Show the material here. Oh, and then those little ridges, I will just put some little things here to describe that they added a feature there to help you open it. Oops, that's the wrong order. There's the housing, there's the door. There's the there's the door, there's the housing. There we go. Okay, this little lanyardy thing that I just kind of made up, I don't even know if that's real. Give that some thickness. Oops, got a little too thick there. Okay, maybe this has like a little, oops, thing. I'll go ahead and just put a few lines there to describe that as maybe not a hard plastic. Okay, jumping right along, gradual change. Maybe that's the beginning of that part. I think that will actually become that didn't turn out very well. Okay. Then, okay, while I'm over here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and put in these surface contour lines. Oops, that's not right. Come down. Something kind of like that. And then this. Go like that. Oops. Boom. Okay. I'm gonna reduce this even more. Okay, let's keep on trucking. I think this part of the camera is actually kind of basic. This whole section between this handle part and then the lens. There's not a lot going on. Got this surface thing. Okay, and then this part actually does go ahead and become, oops. Nice. And there's a brand thing here. I'm just gonna kind of put like a window and say like brand goes here. Something like that. And then I'm not sure how this actually transitions. Maybe it gets gradual, kind of like that. I think if I remember correctly, I'm not going to try and open up that thing again. But I think maybe this whole part is like a separate piece or something. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. This is something that you'd have to like really figure out if you had the thing in front of you, you know. And then there's gonna be a line there. And then we said we put this in, there's like a button or something, and that comes out. Surface contour lines. Something maybe kind of like that. Okay, let's work on this dial. I'm gonna move this over. Pinch. I think whatever this dial fits into is kind of below it. So we're actually not gonna see how it attaches to the main housing, which is fine. But what that means for us is that it's probably one of our simpler features to add, because there's no like hole that this fits into essentially. So we'll just leave it nice and simple. I said I would put some things on there. There we go. Okay. Here are those little silver parts that I had mentioned. That button didn't actually turn out very well. Okay, ignore that. Okay, then there's the other side of this, which I think would show, yep, be a leading edge line. And then there's this. Something like that. Okay, so now we'll go and we'll do the lens, and then we'll wrap up with that strap, and then we'll be putting on our finishing touches. So I'm gonna go ahead. Now let's see. So this can be done a lot of ways, how the lens attaches. Not a lot of ways, there's like 2 or 3 ways. Let's say that I have a hole and then my lens is going to come out of there. Like so. And then we'll do the next piece. Like so. Again. Yeah, so just a note here, if you guys do choose to do a fancy camera like this, don't make the lens just like one cylinder. A, that's kind of boring. B, you guys can do so much better than that. Like, that would be work that, we would have seen or done like the 2nd or 3rd week of class. So please don't do that to us. Don't do that to yourself, actually. Okay, so notice again how this is like a surface line, not dark. This is a leading edge line, dark. And then we'll reverse it. Oops. There we go. Reverse it when we're doing the opposite. Oh, shoot. I'm glad I caught that. I was about to tell you guys the wrong thing. Okay, so looking at it from far away, you can tell now that there's space behind there, space behind here. Just to make sure we get that right. And then these next ellipses that I'm gonna throw in are basically just like the lens details. These are kind of superfluous, honestly. Maybe we'll do one more. That's like the final one. Yeah. Okay. If you guys want to do any additional stuff on here, maybe let's look and see if there's anything we can do. I think some of the cameras that I've worked with before. Oh, there we go. There's an interesting. Oh my god. Okay. Let's say you want to add some detail to this. We'll put an ellipse. And I'll put another ellipse. Those weren't right. Better. Okay. So I'm looking at, on this photo, if you look towards the front of the lens, there's like just a little bit of detail there. We can add like a little bit of that. Let's just imagine there's like, just like a little swoop. And I'll go in and make sure just have a little radius on them. Okay, so it doesn't really mean anything, but it's kind of nice. Or maybe if you want, you could do like, I don't know, something, just a little something. And maybe, okay. As far as our surface contour lines go, I think maybe about there. That one's about there. And then maybe we've got something like that, that. Maybe that's like part of the lens or something. Make sure we follow that same. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Sweet. Before we move on to the drop shadow, let's wrap up this strap. This is going to be a gradual change. Okay, and then I think I'm actually going to flip the orientation that I had this on. So that's the back side, the edge, and the bottom. Okay. All right. So I think these lines of the lens should have actually been a little bit further like down facing. It doesn't look perfect. I think it should have actually followed more like this line. All right. Anyways, so this is pretty close. Okay, so now drop shadow. So if you're asking yourself, how do I start with my drop shadow? If this was the original point for where we started that cylinder, actually you could say here, let's drop it down just a bit. And if that stops there, I'll redraw that. Let's drop this down. And then I want this to kind of like touch the, or so I can say, if this is where, that's where the clip starts, I'll imagine that line going all the way down to right there. And that's going to touch that, and we won't see any more of that. I'm going to imagine that going down there, and then comes out, keeps getting bigger. And then we'll think about where it stops there. Maybe something kind of like that. Okay, and then I think that's, well, actually, this whole part right here may actually come out further. So I'll maybe draw that out just a little bit more. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. So which way do I want to go? I think this way. So I think I say this every time, but I really don't want you guys doing any kind of complicated hatching stuff. I really just want some lines. They don't have to be special. You don't have to do any kind of crazy fine art thing where you're shading, because that's not what we do. Just really, really simple lines. Perfectly acceptable. Boom. Okay. I am a Nikon person more than I am Canon. Nikon DSLR. My name. And then let's just say lens. Leather-like texture, because I don't know if it's real or if it's fun fact, if let's say that this part here is plastic but they molded it to feel like leather, like have that texture, that's actually called skeuomorphism. And the idea behind it is that a lot of times when designers are making something new, so not that this camera's new, but back in the day, there could have been cameras that had real leather actually affixed, attached to the sides. And so now if a designer says like, oh, I want this new camera to feel like it is similar to this older version, but is a new material, that like kind of mimicking is called skeuomorphism. And you could look that up. Kind of interesting. When Apple developed the original Notes app for the iPod Touch, the background was yellow and looked kind of like legal paper, like a legal pad. That would also be considered skeuomorphism. So it applies in product design and UX design. Okay, I think this is actually pretty much done. Hopefully you guys had fun with this one. This was probably one of the more complicated objects of the semester, just like the vacuum that we did and the drill. Pretty technical objects for the most part. Let me know if you had any questions. And I can't wait to see what you guys have for, oh, you know what? Before we go, we should really put in one more surface contour line. Let's do that real quick. Because it will help to describe that surface. There we go. That feels better. Much, much better. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that was your second to last demo, I think.